The Ghislaine Maxwell trial starts on Monday, November 29th, and this is what you need to know. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and this is Winnie the Westie who will take a nap after having peed in the kitchen. A lot of you are asking for updates on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, asking me if I'm going to be following the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I will once the trial starts. We are now only in the stage of pre-trial motions, but there is a lot to catch up on in light of the upcoming trial, which starts Monday as at the time of shooting this vlog. Now, for those of you out there who may not know who Ghislaine Maxwell is, and I dare say there can't be very many of you, Ghislaine Maxwell is Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand man, so to speak, partner in crime, quite literally. She has been indicted on a number of charges for very, very improper behavior, dating back decades, involving some of the biggest names in the world of politics and entertainment. She is about to start trial on those charges this coming Monday. Now, first things first, a lot of people have been sharing a meme on Twitter and social media. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial was broadcast for the world to see. Hundreds of thousands of people watching. Ghislaine Maxwell, there will be no TVs, no nothing. What are they trying to hide? Federal courts, because that's where Ghislaine Maxwell trial is being held, do not broadcast trials. State court does have the option to broadcast trials, whereas federal courts, by their rules, do not, which is why the general public only gets access to those odd watercolor paintings depicting what's going on in the courtroom. So before you share that meme suggesting that not broadcasting the Ghislaine Maxwell trial has to do with concealment, know the difference in the rules between federal courts and state courts. That being said, there will be a lot of redaction coming out of this trial. There already has been in the court filings for obvious reasons given the nature of the allegations, to protect the identities of some of the witnesses, but it will nonetheless be made available to the public, if only at a less accessible sort of way. But it will still be made accessible to the general public, although nowhere near the way the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was made accessible to the general public. Now, with that said, it might be good just to go over very briefly the nature of the indictment, the charges being brought against Ghislaine Maxwell, and reading from the indictment, they are as follows. From Thursday, July 2, 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell charged in Manhattan federal court for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to do very, very bad things. Maxwell is alleged to have participated in acts of abuse. Count 1, conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in very, very illegal acts. Count 2, enticement of a minor to travel to engage in very, very illegal acts. Count 3, conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in very, very criminal activity. Count 4, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in very, very criminal activity. Count 5, perjury. Count 6, perjury. The perjury charges pertain to Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly making false statements in a 2016 case. Those are the charges against Ghislaine Maxwell, and right now the case is in its pretrial motions stage. Jury selection, they're picking a jury. They're also trying to resolve some evidentiary issues that are going to come up during trial, and one of those issues is whether or not Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be able to call an expert on false memories, and apparently Ghislaine Maxwell has been authorized to do so, and now we have an idea as to where the defense is going to go. Ghislaine Maxwell trial. U.S. judge to allow expert on, quote, false memories, end quote, to testify. And here you have one of those courtroom drawings because cameras are not allowed in the courtroom. A U.S. judge has granted British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell permission to call a psychologist who specializes in how memories can become distorted over time to testify at her trial on very, very illegal activity. Lawyers for Maxwell, who is accused by prosecutors of recruiting and grooming underage girls for very, very bad things, have said they plan to call American psychologist Elizabeth Loftus to testify about, quote, false memories, end quote, of very illegal things that people may describe with confidence without deliberately lying. That gives us a clear indication of at least one aspect of where Ghislaine Maxwell is going to go with her defense. Another aspect of where she is going to go, by the looks of things, she's going to go after the intentions of some of the complainants to this claim. And by complainants, I don't mean the plaintiff, because it's the state versus Ghislaine Maxwell, but the state's claim is founded on complaints from the alleged victims, and Ghislaine Maxwell wants to go after the intentions of some of these alleged victims. Ghislaine tries to get her hands on Epstein victim settlement files. Less than 2 weeks before her trial, Ghislaine Maxwell is fighting for documents from the settlement fund for victims of Jeffrey Epstein. The Victims Fund, which closed in August, functioned as an independent and voluntary alternative to litigation and resulted in nearly $125 million paid out to more than 135 victims of Epstein. As part of the program, applicants provided documentation and were interviewed by Feldman and other administrators. If they received and accepted a settlement offer, the women were required to waive the right to sue Epstein's estate and, quote, related entities and or individuals individuals, end quote, including Maxwell. An important distinction to mention here, if any of the alleged victims accepted any monies out of this fund, it might affect their abilities to sue Ghislaine Maxwell personally, civilly, but this prosecution of Ghislaine Maxwell are criminal charges brought by the state and not by any of the alleged victims who might have accepted monies out of this settlement fund. That being said, presumably this might affect the credibility of any of the alleged victims who were at the source of the criminal complaint, in that they might have had a financial incentive, so to speak, to file the criminal complaint if it would have helped them get monies out of this settlement fund. And I am not taking a position one way or the other or judging any of the alleged victims for any of the decisions they have made as relates to these funds. I am simply expressing what would probably be the strategy behind the defense in going after these documents. And just to close this parenthesis properly, the court has in fact authorized the production of certain documents from the Epstein's Victims Settlement Fund, subject to certain modalities of the court. The court hereby orders the administrator of the Epstein Victims Compensation Program to produce to the court via electronic thumb drive any materials responsive to the subpoena as soon as possible, but no later than 12 p.m. on November 24, 2021. Upon receipt, the court will determine whether the parties may, quote, inspect all or part, end quote, of the materials. And the representative of the Epstein Compensation Program responded to the court saying, we intend to comply with the subpoena, but we have something like 6,000 to 7,000 pages of documents, and we won't be able to do so within the time frame imposed by the court, but we shall do so by no later than November 29. So that is the update on those documents. Ms. Feldman intends to comply with the court's order and produce responsive documents to the court. However, given the volume of materials and the steps necessary to ensure that documents produced fall within the scope of the subpoena, it is not possible to produce all materials by noon tomorrow. We understand that the volume of potentially responsive materials is approximately 6,000 to 7,000 pages, and we note that the original return date for the subpoena was November 29, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. We intend to produce by noon tomorrow, redacted. We intend to produce remaining responsive documents as soon as possible thereafter, and respectfully request until November 29, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. the original subpoena return date to complete production. So those are the big issues coming out of the pretrial motions leading up to the upcoming trial. I reserve the right to have missed some of them. I'm losing light, so I have to finish this vlog while I still have natural lighting. But there's one remaining issue as relates to the judge who apparently was appointed by the Biden administration to the Court of Appeals while this trial was ongoing. Biden nominates Ghislaine Maxwell's judge, Memphis litigator, to appeals courts. President Joe Biden on Wednesday nominated the Manhattan federal judge overseeing the very, very bad trial of British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell and a Memphis litigator at the law firm Butler Snow to serve as federal appellate court judges. The announcement came a day after U.S. Senate Majority Leader Charles Schumer revealed he had recommended Biden nominate U.S. District Judge Allison Nathan for a seat on the New York-based Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. In the age where the conspiracy theory of last year is mainstream media news of this year, a lot of people are reading a lot into this appointment. To me, it doesn't look all that bizarre. Judges get appointed to the Court of Appeals all the time, and presumably, and by presumably I mean necessarily, this judge would not hear the appeal of this case if it ever got to appeal, but this does not strike me as being anything out of the ordinary, but I will be following it and I will converse with Robert Barnes to see what he thinks. But that is the latest. Robert Barnes and I will be discussing this during our next live stream on Sunday. The trial starts Monday and I will be following it, but I will not be doing daily updates. If you want daily updates on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, I suggest you check out Robert Gruler, who has been doing the updates pretty much every day on the state of this file. But that is it. Those are the updates as of now. I have lost my light because it's 4 o'clock in Montreal in wintertime and it gets dark really early here. But if you like my videos and you like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. If you want to support the channel, all the support links are in the pinned comment. I've got a great new merch shirt coming out, so stay tuned for that. If you want to support me and Robert Barnes on Locals, where supporters get lots of exclusive content, you can find us at
vivabarneslaw.locals.com.
All of my content is also on Rumble, which has merged with Locals, so you can find a neat little link directly to Locals from Rumble. But more important than anything, take care of yourselves, check in on friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well, and now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah!